Hey guys, my name is Michael Ensminger, and I am here with Mr. Bud Smith. Bud, thanks so much for joining.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. When did you get into town?
Got in this morning.
You did?
Yes.
From where?
Stillwater, Oklahoma.
Okay, very good. And what were you doing in Oklahoma?
Had the wall that heals at Oklahoma State University for the last week.
Awesome. So many people probably don't know what the wall that heals is. Can you kind of give me a little bit of an idea of what that is?
What it is that the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund in 1982, they put the wall up in Washington, D.C. And in 1996, they decided that they needed a mobile replica, and it's had 3 or 4 revolutions or evolutions of the wall. And now we have the 3/4 scale replica, plus we have the education center. And it goes to different communities this year. We're going to do 34 stops in 24 cities, the bulk of which Wilson Logistics will do because of the relationship that Darrel has with Tim Tates from the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund.
Mm-hmm. And so you're hauling that trailer, right, that
Yes,
educates people about the wall to, for the most part, not every single one, but the majority of them, to all of those different towns, right?
Yes, sir.
And what is it like when you're hauling that thing into those towns?
We do an escort. It's like an escort parade. And what they try to do is give the Vietnam veterans in the local area that ride motorcycles or can drive cars, it's sort of their welcome home parade. It's a way to bring the heroes home.
That's so cool.
Because the Vietnam veteran didn't get treated well. And so this is a way to have their homecoming parade and say welcome home. And also the 58,318 names on the wall. We're bringing them into the local community. And you're actually building a national monument in their backyard.
Right. That's so cool.
It's pretty sweet.
I'm sure it's incredibly powerful.
It is.
And some of them have been at elementary schools, right?
Elementary schools. We've been in graveyards. We've been veterans cemeteries.
Mm-hmm.
We've been to schools. We've been like colleges, just regular parks in different towns. Mm-hmm. In the United States.
And it seems like the schedule is planned for smaller communities. You know, you're not really going to these major cities. They're kind of outside of those major cities. And why is that?
Because the population, we do major cities. We did a couple this time, but they're outlying. It's because you get more, there's a lot of Vietnam veterans that can't make the journey to DC.
Sure.
And each town fills out an application. The VVMF as a whole looks at it and says, yeah, we want to go there. And then we schedule it around weather, because the weather this time of year is unpredictable back east or in the Midwest. When we go to California, Arizona, Oregon, other than Oregon, it rained all the time we were there, but that's fine. We're used to it. Yeah. So they just look at the demographics, where they've been before, what kind of program, what kind of host is hosting it. And that's how they determine. We have over 150 applications a year. Wow. And we only do 30. Last year we did 38. This year we're doing 34.
Very cool. Thank you so much for doing that.
Well, it's a team effort between, Mr. Wilson, Skip, everybody in the Wilson family. I can't do it without them. And that's the reason I get to do it, is because of them.
Yeah. And why do you think you were, kind of selected to be involved?
Well, 4 years ago, Mr. Wilson said, would you like to do this? And being a veteran, I was a Marine Corps veteran, it was a way to give back. My father was a veteran, and he fought in 3 wars, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam.
Wow.
It's a way to give back. It's a way to honor their service, guys that came before me, and the ultimate sacrifice that these people on the wall made.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's really powerful. Thanks so much, Bud. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I get more out of it than I give.
Yeah. So let's back up a little bit. Tell me, where were you born? Where were you raised? A little bit about about Mr. Smith.
I was born in Fort Riley, Kansas. Mm-hmm. My dad moved us to Wyoming, and I was raised in Wyoming. Went all through school there. Joined the United States Marine Corps at a young age and went all over the world.
Yeah.
And when I got out of the service, I started trucking.
How did you get into trucking? Do you remember?
Was getting out of the Marine Corps. Decided I had at that time it was called a chauffeur's license already, and walked in a little place in LA and said, "Hey, I want to drive a truck," and they took me around the block and said, "You're good," and the rest is history.
Man, things have changed a little bit from that training, huh?
There was no I mean, the military taught me, but you know, the trucks are different. Sure. I mean, I was in a cab over Freightliner.
Yeah. And what year was this?
This was 1985.
Uh-huh.
And no power steering, 62 air conditioning, that's 2 windows and 60 miles an hour. Things have changed. There's, if you look over the history of trucking, every 10 years we have an evolution.
Yeah.
So, you know, we had, you know, a chauffeur's license, and then the evolution of the commercial driver's license, and then the Qualcomm, that was another evolution, and then, you know, it just keeps changing. You know, now we have the ELD, and we have trucks that are automatic transmissions, or, you know, the evolution of trucking. Mr. Wilson and I talk all the time about that evolution that we've seen, because we've basically been in the business the same amount of time. And we talk about, yeah, remember back in the old days, and it's back in the old days because we're old.
And what do you think about all those evolutions? I mean, I'm sure there's positives and negatives.
There is positives and negatives. There's we do it to ourselves, as I say. We had to get CDLs because I remember back in the day, guys had 3 or 4 driver's licenses. They just figure out which one they were going to give to the cops because the states weren't tied together. So we had the CDLs, and it weeded some out. You look at the ELD mandate. It's weeding the bad operators out. It's weeding the companies that didn't follow the rules that everybody else followed.
Sure.
Some of it's good, some of it's bad.
Yeah.
I think they could tweak the way that the ELD works, and I think they will. It's changed. It's changed in 35 years.
Yeah, no doubt. Just like everything will and will continue, right? Yes,
sir.
Yep, exactly. What type of truck are you driving? Tell me a little bit about your truck.
I got a W900L. I was fortunate, very fortunate, that when I decided to go, when my lease was done, go and buy my own truck. And the first person I called was Mr. Wilson and said, "I want to stay." And he said, "Hey, I wouldn't have it any other way." And it's a great opportunity. There's a lot of hardworking people here that are on lease, and they can turn the same thing. And a lot of guys are successful here. They don't put you in a lease program to make you unsuccessful. And yes, there's ups and downs.
Sure.
And there's ups and downs to owning your own truck. But know one thing, that the Wilson family, and everybody at Wilson, not just the Wilson family, but everybody tries to make you succeed. Sometimes I'm hard-headed and I don't listen, and that's when I get in trouble.
So you joined, how did you join us, and when did you?
I was a heavy hauler. I hauled big stuff.
Uh-huh.
And an opportunity came up in Texas to become a vice president of operations for a trucking company, a heavy haul company. Mm-hmm. And I got there and found out that people don't always do the right thing. And when you're dealing with owner operators, you got to be ethical, and they weren't. So I left, and I was without a job, and I was just reading one day, and I called Lisa up, and the next thing you know, I was in, Missoula. Mm-hmm. And I decided to go straight lease right away because I like to be my own boss, and that's how I got started. Yeah. And it's almost 5 years now. I don't have any complaints.
Wow. So you wrapped up a 5-year lease with us. What were you leasing?
Peterbilt 579, okay. and then went out, and the thing is I was able to save enough money through hard work and everybody's hard work and be able to go put a down payment on a new truck.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Very cool. So how long have you had your KW?
About a year and 4 months now.
She's pretty.
Yeah, I like her.
Well, yeah, you send us some awesome pictures, whether it's with the wall or just on the road, and we repost a lot of those on Facebook and Instagram and everything, and folks just go crazy for your truck.
And people say, well, how could you do that? And you can do it. You can achieve that. You look at the operators here. A lot of them are coming up on their dates. I know 3 or 4 guys that are almost done. You can keep it, or you can, you'll have the title to that truck. That's one thing. You have that $10,000 that Mr. Wilson, as the incentive bonus, and you have that truck. And if it was me, you want to stay under warranty, because the truck these days, there's too many things that go wrong that, with this new DEF system and this exhaust bull crap that they make us put on there. You could take it and take that 10 grand in that truck, in that title, and go trade it in on a new one. And, then you have the warranty, because I'll tell you, when that truck I have now is out of warranty, it's gone. It's going down the road. Yeah. I'll be in a new one.
Right. Just because of those additional costs.
Right. And it's expensive to get that stuff fixed.
For sure.
Yeah.
So obviously you went through our leasing program, and plenty of other professional drivers that are leasing either for us or another company. What in your mind makes someone a profitable or a successful lease operator?
Watching your bottom line. Watching, don't take every load, don't take every first load. When I was on the AA side with Prime, it was a little tougher battle, but on the regional side, the money is better. If you don't want to do it, they don't sit there and force you to do it. But their freight on the regional side is basically all the same rate-wise, and you can make a good living doing it. You have to watch your fuel costs. Yeah, I got a truck that has lots of horsepower, but I tend not to use it unless I need to. Sure. And try to run efficiently, and that's the biggest thing, is running your business efficiently. Biggest thing, check the air in your tires. Tires are one of your biggest costs. Watch what you're fueling. But for the most part, if you just watch the bottom dollar, you'll be successful, because you can be successful here. There is, I've seen guys come and go that, well, this is BS, and they walk away, and then they regret. And like Ron, he left to go do HVAC, and he's back here. He went and leased a new truck again, because the thing about the Wilson family, and it is family, all of us, yeah, sometimes we're dysfunctional and we want to, yell and scream at each other, but in the end, it's a family.
How do you see trucking evolving in the near future? What I mean is, with some of these driver assist technologies. I
don't see it happening, because it's just, I think
you mean self-driving
or no drivers. Yeah. Well, the drivers will be in the trucks, but they'll be like an airplane pilot. An aircraft pilot, the two things he does is take off and land. Anything in between, it's all done by the thing. I just don't see it. I don't think I'll see it in my lifetime of trucking that'll be driverless. There's just too many variables, weather being the biggest one. Because if a guy driving down the road can spin out, a truck by itself that doesn't have a human behind it can spin itself out. Sure. But I don't think I'll see it in my lifetime.
Yeah, I agree. With the conversations that I've had with Darrel and other folks in the industry, is that these technologies are here and they're coming, but they're really driver assist technologies is really what we're talking about. And they're there to improve efficiencies, improve safety, but not to replace drivers. That's
I think there are always going to be a pilot or a driver behind the seat, because they're going to get into situations, not every dock's going to have a thing that, hey, you can hit this button and it's going to back up.
Yeah.
Eventually, yes. I think technology has changed. You look at when I started a cab over, and now I'm in a conventional. You can't buy a cab over anymore. You can't go out and buy the cab over truck unless you live in Australia or New Zealand, and then you can buy brand new Kenworths, which I wouldn't mind having one.
Why would you want a cab over?
They just look cool.
Yeah.
I'm into the old school, cool look, That's how I've always been. Yeah. These new trucks are beautiful, but I like old school.
You like them.
Yeah.
So what about manual versus automated transmission?
We had that discussion. You guys put up a thing on our Facebook page about manual, and I put manual.
Yeah.
For me, that's what I like. I like to have a little more control in the weather.
Just comfortable with it.
Yeah, and that's all I ever done. I drove truck with 2 sticks, where you had to take your hands off the steering wheel or loop your arm through the steering wheel and make it work. But for a company the size of Wilson, the maintenance costs are less. You're not going to maintenance on the transmission, but the biggest thing is the maintenance on the clutch.
Sure. Because
the clutch is going to go before the transmission, and I think Darrel's probably looked at that, and Kirk and Smitty have looked at that as a cost, and that's what I put in my comment on our page was, hey, for me, this is what it works for the company, and you got to look at what they're buying. They're not buying 2 trucks at a time.
Right.
They're buying 100 at a time, and I think it's good for them, and it probably can draw more people into the industry because, hey, most millennials, I say it, can't drive a stick shift. I call it my, that's my anti-theft thing, because I can't get in there and, spin 13 gears,
Sure. I mean, I grew up driving mostly automatics myself, right? I'm 31 years old. I learned how to drive a manual, of course, but only because I wanted to, not because I needed to. Right. And also, even just because you know how to drive, a standard in a Honda Civic doesn't mean you're going to be able to translate that.
No, it takes time. But, the funny thing about my truck driving career, I never went to a driving school. I taught myself how to drive a truck. I was very fortunate. My grandfather was in the trucking industry. I have some old books. Back in the 30s, that's when he started. And, fuel was 3 cents a gallon. I was like, holy crap, I'm looking at these invoices. He paid my uncle like $20 to drive from Casper, Wyoming to Greeley, Colorado with a load of cows. And I was like, holy crap, I wouldn't do that today.
Oh, man.
Yep.
That's great.
Yep.
So what keeps you in trucking today? What is it about?
I think trucking is a lifestyle. It isn't just a job. It's a lifestyle. I've had friends that I've had for 35 years of my career. Guys that are still trucking, some guys have retired. It's a lifestyle, and it's freedom. It's that ultimate freedom thing. You got guys on the telephone calling you, or on the Qualcomm sending you messages, but for the most part, nobody messes with you.
Yeah.
You see something new every day. That's the draw. Mm-hmm. My Facebook page, you've been on it, from the hood. That's just guys. That's all just guys from our company, other companies, and we just send pictures and talk about things that are happening.
Yeah.
And I started that because, one day I was in Arizona in a cool sunset, and I just I'm going to make this, because this is what we see. This is people that live in an office don't get to see this every day. And I still remember a teacher telling me, you're never going to make any money looking out the windows. I laugh at her every day.
That's great. But I can't thank you enough for taking the time to speak with us today, man. I could literally chat with you all day. We'll definitely do this again.
Okay, brother.
I really, really, really appreciate it.
No problem, Mike.
Guys, if you have any questions for Bud, definitely please put them down in the comments below. We can get them to you, and you can can respond that way.
No problem.
We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all those good things.
Twitter.
So, yeah,
I'm on all that stuff.
Yeah, so definitely check out Bud Smith, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks, guys.